I hereby introduce to you Mr. Michael Veazey.
So that brings us to the other very topical point, and thank you for the answer. So basically, it comes back again and again to a fantastic quality product, which again, you like Kevin King, you're obsessed with that, and I'm really with you on that. That the more I buy stuff, the more I sell things, the more tired I get, the more jaded I get with just crap from China. You know,
Who
I
wants
just
to
like,
buy
oh
crap
no,
from
another
China?
mediocre widget. I could care less. You know.
I work really hard at the beginning, and then I'm really lazy Australian.
Fantastic. Yeah, listen, I'd love to be lazy. I mean, like I'm talking to you, this is like my 13th hour of work. I mean, I did actually stop for lunch for 25 minutes, which is a lot, no, 45 minutes. But I started at 4:30 a.m. So, you know, I'm hearing that they're not working so hard thing. But let's talk reviews. Let's talk reviews because that is a very, very topical thing. Obviously, the sky has fallen in because Amazon's changed its terms of and conditions around incentivized reviews. So let's talk reviews for a minute because everyone's going to be thinking about it anyway. First of all, you were saying, what was the exact? I'm finding myself making notes here. I always swear not to do this because I feel like I can interact better if I'm not writing. But I'm like, I've got to get this down. This is so valuable. So you're saying you want enough reviews to make it seem plausible or viable? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's hard to have credibility on page one if you've got 5 reviews and everybody else has 100, right? So you've got to really work to get those reviews so that you look like you're not, you know, like the ugly child.
Yeah, sure. So 2 questions. First of all, how much is enough? And then the second thing is, what the hell do we do now that incentivized reviews have been removed?
Okay, so the how much of enough question depends on the product, you know. So it depends on what page one is looking like for whatever you're selling for the big search terms. And I'm telling you now, there's plenty of places that have still got terrible listings with low reviews because they're dominated by, they just haven't been touched yet by you know, people who bought courses. Just less obvious things, you know. So it's all about in the UK for my products. When I was getting incentivized reviews, I bought, I think, 25 reviews. I didn't, you know, we don't pay the reviewers, of course, you never could. We use a review service, ilovetoreview.com, which, in full disclosure, I also own. But we do reviews in the UK. And now in the UK, I only had to get 20 or 25 reviews of each product because on page one, that's all you needed to be up the top. In the US, I think I got 50 of each of my products when I started, and they're now well over 100 organically on top of that. So that answers that question. What was the second question?
So sorry, I'm firing too many questions, but I'm just so excited to know the answers to this because everybody's asking me about it.
The sky's falling in. What do we do?
Yeah,
now?
quite. Yeah. So the first question, which you've answered very well, is just like how many, and the answer is like if you go into the right areas, not that much. You just need to compare with what's around. So maybe it can be as low as 50 in the US and as low as 25 in the UK. And in my experience, the UK, it can be even lower sometimes. I mean, because there's so few reviews. It depends on the ratio between that and turnover. But yeah, the second question is, what do we do to get the reviews, especially, I guess, initial reviews, now that incentivized reviews are gone? As I understand it, only in the US, though.
Yeah, it's only in the US at this stage. And the good news is that the sky's falling in for everybody. It's universal. It's not just for some sellers. It's a universal change, which is great. And obviously, because I own I Love to Review, I founded that company. It's run out of Florida. We have a whole team over there. And we're probably the largest review company in the world. It's run by Keith O'Brien, the CEO, does a great job. So that obviously had a big impact on us when that announcement came out last Tuesday. But it's an interesting time. So what it basically means is that we can no longer, as a review service, make it compulsory for a reviewer to review a product. You can't give a product in exchange for a review. It's now deemed as an incentive, which is fair enough. So, so that being said, many companies are still using, like there's other services out there that never guaranteed the review, but they would push out your product at a discounted rate or for free to their community, who would then go to Amazon, use a coupon and buy it. They would get a sales velocity, which put them on the radar. And I'm not exactly sure how Amazon's algorithm works, but I do know that if you sell 20 or 30 or 50 products in a day at any price, it kind of is like it's like that scene in Pulp Fiction where she's dying, she puts the needle in, it comes to life, and from that point on, your listing's never really the same. You actually are in business. Sales start to happen from that point. So that's really valuable in and of its own right. But with the I Love to Review, I can only speak for that community. There's thousands and thousands of people who for the last 3 years have known nothing else than use the coupon, get the product, write the review. And many of those people will probably continue to write reviews, even though they don't have to. So a lot of companies, a lot of our clients, in fact, most of them are continuing as normal and just said, well, if we have to give away 200 products, their review rate was 87%. They did over 100,000 reviews last year. Of that, 87% of the products that were given away actually came back as a review. That will drop, that 87%, and if it drops in half, you'll just have to give away twice as many units. But again, in the context of building a business that generates cash flow for life, it's a one-time investment. It's a sunk cost like photography, and you'll do it. I'm sure there'll be other people that will promote all kinds of other strategies, but again, it comes back to, or the other thing I would recommend everybody does is email follow-up with their customers, you know, especially in the UK. You guys are so responsive. It's kind of frustrating because it's messing with my do no work thing. But, you know, in ZonGuru, we have email automation. So you can set up, you know, the emails you want to send, like one on the day the shipping happens, one 6 days later to make sure they get it, and one 14 days later asking for the review. Automate that, because that automates your review requesting, and it also helps you get ahead of any problems that the customer might have experienced. The product broke or the box was scratched or whatever it is.
That's true. I mean, I have to say it's interesting you say that, because I suppose being a UK person, yeah, I don't know if I was as conscious of that difference, really. I mean, I did obviously have review sort of follow-up sequences in place in the US, and I got a certain amount of responsiveness. But yeah, some people in the UK really did write back like I'd written them a personal email. I guess they just haven't been deluged with autoresponders yet, and they just kind of said, "Oh, thanks for asking. I'll let you know." You know, I know it's very sweet. I'm like, you don't need to say that, but yeah, thanks. No, it's true. I mean, the more you can come across in a casual style, and I realised that. This is a side issue, but you probably know loads more than this. But I mean, it did strike me that I must have got the email tone about right, because I realized I used to write emails in this great sort of salesy language, and you'd read it and you think this feels auto-respondery. Whereas if you say, "Hi, it's Mike. Sorry to bother you, but just let me know if that came through okay." Something very casual that I just Skype to you in a quick chat message just before we come on air or something. Seems to get more response. I noticed that, and
mine are like literally 2 sentences, maybe 3. I'm like, "Hey, Mike, just wanted to make sure that you got it. Please let me know if there's any issues, Adam." And then when I ask for the review, I'll say, "Hey, look, we're a tiny little business that's just started in the UK. It'd be amazing if you could just write us a review. Either way, it's cool. Thanks so much. Have an awesome day. I won't bother you again." And it's like non-salesy. I'm not trying to act like a big company, and people love it. You know, I don't have all this hypey crap in there. And as a result, I get emails all the time from people saying, "Oh, you know, it's so nice to have this personal touch, and thank you for checking in." I've had people write to me saying, "In all the years I've bought on Amazon, nobody's ever followed up with me." And I'm like, wow, even still, like in this market, really? And they're like, "Yep, you're the first one." And I'm like, awesome. So
yeah, that's a really good tip. I think one of the things that you got to unlearn is if you had the misfortune to go on sales training or marketing training, which I've had for quite a few years. I mean, you just got to forget all that crap because it just doesn't work. It's the opposite.
You got to unlearn it. You absolutely have to unlearn it.
So just a bit of a hard fact on that. And what sort of conversion percentage do you get from email follow-up sequences to reviews? So I'm not talking about conversion percentages and sales conversion, just for clarity for anyone listening or watching indeed. But I mean, if you send out 100 email follow-ups, how many reviews would you typically get for that in the UK? How many in the US?
I have no idea. I have never tracked that, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
That's fair enough. It's an honest answer. I'd be interested to know. So we've touched on some very, very interesting stuff already, and I think that you've dealt very elegantly with the whole review thing. I mean, so fundamentally, it's kind of business as usual, except the response rates may be somewhat lower. But then in terms of that, it's going to be true for everyone else. So over time, the review levels will just be a bit lower, I guess, anyway, right?
Yeah, look, there's another little boogeyman in all of this that nobody's really talking about at this stage, which is that the other side of this coin is Amazon's ability not just to legislate against review companies. They already did that a year ago. They sued a bunch of them. But the other very obvious way is that they can just simply run something through their algorithm to say, let's just have a look at people who've reviewed a higher number of products than the average, and then let's also run a filter through what percentage of actually products they've reviewed they used a coupon for, and then let's just wipe out the reviews of all those people. So the other side is that they can just remove reviews by people who are just reviewers, you know. So we don't know at the moment where it's all going to fall, but at the end of the day, sellers are going to need to just learn to readjust, and they're definitely still going to need to do launches because their competitors are going to have to be giving away 100 units, just like any business that launches any product on Amazon or anywhere in the world, even in the bricks and mortar world. They'll go out in the streets and give away samples, and they'll get people using the product. That's not going to change. That's going to happen. People are going to do it, and if you don't, you're going to be behind. So I'm quite happy to do that with my products and get it into people's hands, and then follow them up saying, hey, you got one of our products, it'd be awesome if you could leave a review for us. You just got to do the work. You only have to do it to the point of having 50 or 100 reviews, and if you need more than that, you've gone into the wrong niche.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. I think that those are two fantastic things I just want to pull out. One is get the niche selection in the first place, and you don't have to do crazy artificial marketing things and you get it wrong, and you're going to have to do crazy stuff kind of ongoing, right? Like you said, supplements can be ugly. I know some people in that, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole, but you know. The other thing, I really like the fact that you're flagging up potential future changes because they're kind of so obviously doable by Amazon, like that thing of stripping out reviews by people who are like professional reviewers. It's got to happen at some point. And again, I guess it means what, you know, you don't want to get over dependent on that. It's just all about organic reviews in the end of the day, isn't it, really? Just
make great products that people like. You know,
yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, and don't be impatient. Like, you know, I like this stuff because it knocks out all the weaklings. It knocks out all the people that still believe that they're going to get rich quick on shitty products. It's just, good luck with that. Come on in and compete with me. You know, we'll see who's standing in 3 years, you know. It's an amazing business, even on the slow train, you know. I've spent 20 years in business and have companies and infrastructure and staff and all this stuff. Let's not forget how amazing it is that I can sit here and anybody like me who does the work can open up their phone in the Seller app. And I was watching the debates last night, and I opened up the app and I'd done like nearly $2,000 in the US and over $1,000 for the day on those 6 products in Europe. So I made $3,000 US for the day. I was sitting on my butt watching Donald Trump argue with Hillary over stupid things. So, you know, that's an amazing business. I have no employees. I could be anywhere in the world for the rest of my life. And my business is not going down after 6 months or the year. It's growing. It's my sales are up because I've done all the right things at the right time early on. I worked hard at the beginning so that I don't have to work hard forever. The reasons people buy from me are not different today than what they were, and most people are too lazy to compete with me. So it's great.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, now I want to touch on something that you were just saying, because you were saying earlier that you run a couple of businesses that are around services for Amazon sellers. And you mentioned also, you said, well, I teach this stuff myself. So, you know, I better go and, you know, learn some things like, I think it was getting an Amazon ad. Sorry, no, it was an Amazon loan, wasn't it, you were getting? So tell us more about that. So how do you teach the stuff? Do you do like live webinars? Do you run courses? Is it like big group training?
Yeah, so I have a company called Reliable Education, and you can find us at www.reliable.education. There's no .com or anything, just reliable.education. And the whole premise of that business is to give people a realistic expectation going in and then tell them the truth. You know, that's basically our business. And the form that education takes is on the website. You can enroll in a free training program, which is 4 videos that I do. They're professionally produced. I take you to my home. I take you for a drive around where I live in Australia. I sort of live between Australia and the US. And I educate you on what the Amazon opportunity is, how to find products. I talk about some of my selection criteria. I talk about the concept of compounding. I call it velocity retailing, which is how to compound your capital over time. And so on. And then it leads to my paid program. So the paid program, if you decide that you like me after doing that little mini course of 4 videos, the paid program is an online course, and you get access to, I think there's about 90 videos in there right now that are a combination of live action, where I take you to China, I take you inside of my factories and show you, introduce you to what they look like and take you on the road and show you Guangzhou and show you Beijing and do all that sort of stuff. I take you inside our 3D scanning studio where we get our photography done. I show you how a 3D scan is made. So it's really good live action stuff as well as instructive, where I'm talking over screen recordings, and then I'm doing some PowerPoint stuff, and then there's recorded webinars that we've done. So it's a really, really juicy, like this kind of discussion today, but a lot more content. To our private Facebook community, which is a global community of people that have all got this same approach. And then we connect you, if you want, with your own mastermind group, which we cap at 7 people, because we're modeling on a tribes theory, which is that operate best in groups of 7. And then, so we cap it at 7, and then we have everybody sign an NDA, share information freely with each other, and they meet on Google Hangouts or in person. All over the world we have those Hangouts. And these are people that are all educated with the same psychology of what we've talked about today. They're not opportunistic, they're not get rich quick. They're all solid people that want to build real businesses. So you get access to that, and then we have 12 coaching webinars with you. The other thing we do is we do live onboarding with every student, which is really unique. Normally when you buy something online, you don't ever hear from them. We actually have 2 guys in Los Angeles full-time who just call new students and onboard them for half an hour. We ask, who are you? Why did you join? All that sort of stuff. And then we do a Kiva loan as well with every student. So on their behalf, we make a loan to a third world entrepreneur, interest-free, and they pay it back, and then we re-lend the money over and over. So we have a sort of a charitable component. So that's the online community. It's super fun. We have a refund rate of less than 5%, so people seem to like it.
Yeah, that's really pretty seriously low, actually. I understand that the percentages of people who finish online courses are remarkably low as well. I don't know what your stats are on that, but fingers crossed they're actually taking some action, because this does sound like good stuff.
Accountability is the key, right? Accountability. So we have stuff going on the private Facebook group every few days from me and then other students around the world. So accountability, and that's where we're putting into those little masterminds and giving you a framework of how to run that mastermind. That makes a huge, huge difference. In fact, I'm sitting here right now across the table with John. This is John waving. John's in my mastermind, and he's actually the CEO of Zonguru. So he's here in LA today. We're doing some work. So we started together 3 years ago. He's got a 50 grand a month business now on Amazon. Just quit his job actually to come work with me at Zonguru.
Wow, fantastic. So I hear you on that. It's very interesting, the number 7 that you're coming down to, because I've been a member of Mastermind myself for 7 months and connected with some amazing people, and it's really changed everything really about how I approach business and given me so much more confidence and people to draw on. And I've started running something recently for people who are just getting started. I don't claim to be a guru, but I think I could get people past some of the stumbling blocks that I've sort of crunched into. And what's very interesting is that we're ending up with groups of between about 7 and 10 people, and that feels about the right level where you can really get into the nitty-gritty of your business. And like you said, the detail, they say retail's detail, right? I can't remember who said it, but I think that's the bit that I found missing from a lot of online training. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are really addressing that, because I think that's the missing component, which is why I started doing it, because I know a lot of people who've been trained maybe quite well in a very general sense, but you've got to get that nitty-gritty detail down, and I think small groups is the perfect way to do it.
And there's nothing more motivating than seeing one of your friends actually succeed. So if you put 7 in a group, it's likely one of them's going to do something, and when they do, everybody else is like, oh my God. And that happened with John. John was the first guy in our group after me to actually build a solid business, and then when he brought home this number, everyone was like, oh my God, he's in our group, he's just like us. And now everybody's like, oh shit, I better do something.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, when it's motivating, the honest truth is it's motivating. When you look at someone, you think, he's no damn better than me. Why is he making 50 grand a month and I'm only doing 10? For Christ's sake, I must get on with it. It's competition, right? It's that old capitalist motivator that was very effective. And you need a peer group to kick that off. You need to really care enough about kind of identify as somebody enough for that to kick off, I think, and then suddenly it goes, doesn't it? I mean, it does really kick off.
You do, and we just sort of gathered people together under a particular mindset that is not hype based. It's really substantive, good quality stuff. I just can't stand all that hypey rubbish, and I just tell people the truth, and that makes my job as the leader of the community really easy, because I get up in the morning, I'm not stressed, I haven't told any lies. People are, it's easy to run. It's fun.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and all power to you for that. I have to say that it's refreshingly different. It really is refreshingly different. So I'm very, very grateful that there's somebody out there doing something like that. I think it's high time. There's too much hype and not enough truth. And for example, the little article on your blog, which I thought is very, very worth people reading, about ACOS and advertising cost, and we touched on. I think everyone should be made to read that early in their Amazon careers, and that's an example of your very granular and very truthful approach. So really, I think that exemplifies it for me. So Adam, we better let you get on with your meeting with your CEO, because obviously we've taken a lot of your time and expertise up, but been fascinating. I'm very impressed with your no BS approach. I think it really is true. I mean, sometimes even that could be a sort of hypey claim, but in your case, I think it's very consistent. It's an impressive thing. So if people want to hear more about you, obviously you've given your website is a reliable.education, not .com, as I attempted to email you earlier. So don't make that mistake, folks. If you do want to get hold of Adam, it's reliable.education. That is the domain name. And are there any other ways that people can connect with you on Twitter or other ways like that?
No, I don't do any of that stuff. So yeah, just go to reliable.education, and if you're interested in the software, just go to zonguru.com. Zon as in Amazon, just Zon Guru. And either place will get to me or John, who's across from me at Zon Guru. We're happy to help, and we're always putting out good content, and it's super fun. So whatever we can do to help, we're happy to do it.
Great. Well, Adam, it's been a great pleasure. Hope to get you back on in a few months to give us your take on what's happening in Amazon. Will doubtless have changed everything by then, and there'll be new things to discuss. But for the moment, I'll say many, many thanks for coming on the show. It's been a real pleasure.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye.
Take care.